Hey, how's it going, John Wayne? Stephen here, and today I'm just going to send you a quick personal video trying to advise you on how to maximize your recovery with regards to your hip injury. It's phenomenal to see you back on your feet so soon. Dude, you're a warrior. I look forward to seeing you back to full recovery, like full function as soon as possible. Here are some things that might help you along your way. So when you're able, you're gonna, your recovery, your commitment, your body healing, rest, all those variables. When you're able to do that, given your condition, when you're able to sit on the floor, based on where you are in your healing process, when you can sit on the floor, here's some advice that should be helpful for you. So I'm just gonna give you some advice on various floor sitting positions and transitions. In a seated position as well as in a laying down position, so prone position and supine position. So various movements that you can do in these different positions when you can enter them carefully. So when you can carefully enter into these different positions, you'll have some movements that you can do, systematic movement, strategically done for symmetry, and taking the joints through their full range of motion, developing functional connection and control. So where you don't have range of motion, you got to stretch out a little bit, and then you got to reintegrate neuromuscular control within that new range of motion with the muscles retensioning. Okay, so when you're able to sit on the floor, and place your hands for support, and just want to spend a little bit of time here breathing. And then playing with trying to get your weight over your pelvis. So just sitting up straight. So you're going to have your arms to support some of the weight. I don't want to get too bunkered down in details. I'm not too sure what kind of pain you're going to be experiencing, so I can't advise on what you should do exactly if you're experiencing pain and this is an issue. But use your brain, man. You're a smart, athletic guy. If something's, if I'm telling you to do something that you're not personally able to do, don't do it until you can work your way there comfortably and safely without causing damage. Just taking it easy. I think I might be erring on the side of caution giving you this information based on your present rate of recovery, but I like to err on the side of caution when it comes to other people, especially when I can't advise them. I don't want to tell you something that is good information, but if used out of context or if there's a misunderstanding, creates an issue. So that's basically what it comes down to. Also, your health is number one. And take as best care of it as you can. Okay, so in the different seated positions, basically I've been demonstrating movements that you could enter. To do a systematic approach, coming here, sitting up, stacking your weight, and you want to play with internal rotation and external rotation of the hip. So you've got the hip, pelvis, hip socket, where that connects in. You want to play with rotating your femur internally and externally. So you get a fixed position with your feet that's symmetrical. So I've gone for about 45 degrees here from my seated position. So here, down into the ground. Got my weight back to support me, but I want to sit up nice and straight if I can. So how straight you'll be able to sit is based on your condition. Sit where you need to sit. You're going to do internal rotation and external rotation. So you're going to start off very slow, very, very slow. Just feel, you can floss back and forth. Take it, see how far it'll go. If it's painful, take it back, see if it'll go a little bit better if you floss it back and forth a few times. You want to develop neuromuscular control, sequencing, get a feel for how much tension is in the joint, where there's a restriction if there is one. Then you want to start increasing the range of motion. So you can see, you can do super slow and controlled, regulated with your breathing. You don't want to, if you're like holding your breath and straining and not breathing, chances are you're exerting yourself too much. Take it easy, breathe. Nice and control. Feel around. You can feel we're stacking your weight up directly over your pelvis. So if possible, you want to take away the assistance of your hands. You can obviously regress if that's not possible at this point in time to assistance with the hands. And you want to start playing with trying to rock over into a 90-90 position. So this would be a progression. So this maybe for later stage you might need to build to this. Probably will need to build to this, but I'm just giving you where this can go as you're healing over the days and weeks. Okay, so you've got internal, external rotation. You can focus on external rotation and coming into like a 90-90 position here. We play with then support on the hand and rotating and aligning the spine. So now you're creating an alignment, a torsion connection through the spine, down into the abdomen, through that leg and through this leg as well, anchoring here. And that puts it in a certain pelvic position. You can play with that pelvic position by shifting the knee. So now I'm not quite 90-90, this one's angled. I can angle it more, I can shift my way forward, I can shift my way back, take it back to center. You can control however you need to not hurt your hip. If you're able to enter into this level of position already. Okay, you can shift, you can assist yourself if need be. Shift, you can assist yourself if need be. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. Gah! So, yeah, I got hip issues as well, man. I dislodged my sacroiliac joint, so I fell on my spine, compressed my spine, rotated vertebra in my neck, rotated vertebra. So compressed then rotated the ones in my thoracic, not thoracic. My neck, gosh, which one? Cervical vertebra. Jeez, I can't believe I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, so I compressed and rotated my cervical vertebra that they locked into place. Compressed and flared my thoracic vertebra that they also flared out, compressed down on the discs and the nerves, causing this quite severe nerve damage. Also twisted my rib cage and dislodged my sacroiliac joint. So I know a thing or two about recovery because I've had to do a lot of recovery, to put it simply. Anyway, so yeah, we were playing with internal and external rotation. You can play with supporting, having one as a fixed, so you fix one as an anchor or a base, and then you focus on only moving the other one. So we were doing a synergistic two at once kind of thing. This you could do even before that if you like, if you feel this is more comfortable for you. So yeah, trying to keep this as a fixed point, getting good alignment, support through the hands, even weight distribution in the hands if possible, even weight distribution in the bottom of the pelvis if possible, nice and even on everything. Breathe and take the knee down. See how far it will go. Oh, so I need to bring this one back. So you see, as I was bringing this one, my right knee down, my left knee was going over. It appeared to be the reverse for you. Okay, so I can play with putting the knee down on the ground, bringing it up. Okay, so this was quite an aggressive first go because you can floss back and forward, see where the pain is, you don't necessarily need to go just once into the maximum. You can work your way there. Okay, a little ladybug crawling on my leg. Okay, so the other side, so this is both together. Going back to what we were focusing on now, so anchoring one, internal rotation on the other. So you're fixing this point. So you're not allowing your hip to roll over, you're not putting your weight on the side of your leg, keeping it anchored down underneath you there. And play with thoracic extension as well, because ideally you want to have core stability moving through your legs, through your hips, into your core, up into your thoracic spine. You want everything to, you don't want to be collapsed and misaligned anyway. Ideally you want to focus on posture everywhere. Now I'm shifting back and forth to the other one. We're doing both knees simultaneously. Okay, play around with that. You can play around with bringing the foot in and seeing if you can get your weight back and down towards your heel. So in this position, you don't want the foot out sideways, because rotating the hip down is then putting excessive rotation on the knee. There's a relationship here. You need to have them in the right configuration so they have the right rotational relationship. So I want to have this line. Heel, toe, big toe, heel, knee, back into the pelvis. You can play with shifting the weight out and back, supporting yourself with your hand or hands, and play with trying to get your hips even. Here, you got to be very careful, very small adjustments. There's going to be various pressures and pulling on various muscles and ligaments if your joints are not used to this. So if your joints are not used to moving into functional range of motion that they're meant to be able to do, but they're just not used to it, it can create pinching and impingement due to tensional issues, muscle imbalance, lack of coordination, and sequencing in the position. Okay, so here you can see I'm just going to do a bit of a dynamic flow. So playing with coming in, pulling the weight over your pelvis, pulling in, and then trying to push. So you go together and away with your knees. So the term would be adduction, abduction. Coming in, going out. Yeah. Going out, coming in. Going out, coming in. Okay. So trying to get the knees open and chest up and through. Breathe. Come a little closer. Turn the camera down. Actually, give you a better view. Hopefully that. Okay. There you go. Okay, so trying to get the groin towards the heels. Trying to get the chest up and through. Trying to vertically align the spine, stabilize the lower vertebra. You can do this in different stages, in different ways. Holding, pressing down this side, together, that side, this side, that side, trying to get your foot to come in. You need the right amount of ankle mobility here to be able to get a nice tuck that you can roll the weight all the way along here without there being any issues. So yeah, the joint, you need the right amount of plantar flexion in the ankle. So this is a good way to know what a healthy amount of plantar flexion is, because this is a functional line which requires plantar flexion. It's the perfect way to calibrate it, perfect way to get it where it needs to be. Okay, so you play with doing things at quite an accelerated rate. Always move slowly and carefully based on where you are in your healing process. Can't stress that enough. So you can play around with various assistance using the hands. You can create a rotation in the midfoot here by leaning on the big toe bone. It also creates, a knock-on effect. Opens up the tissue in the foot. A lot of people lack this rotation in the midfoot, and they lack muscular development in the arches. There's various issues in the feet that are quite common. You, as an athlete of your caliber, you shouldn't have it, but if you happen to have developed it, or whatever the case due to compensation, it's definitely worth, making sure that everything's working together correctly. Foot, knee, hip, midfoot, core activation, breathing, postural, intra-abdominal pressure, kinetic linking, all of that stuff. You need to have a fine-tuned system, all working the good, healthy transactional relationship. Playing with your feet, it's just not a bad thing to do. It's actually quite a good thing to do. So you can play with grabbing the different bones in your feet. Come a little closer. Okay. So bones in your feet. Got 5 across here. Grab the big toe one. Here. Little toe one. There. And you can see, you can actually bend the foot. Everything's kind of in alignment. I'm also stretching open the ankle here, but the foot itself, you can see I can twist quite far over that way. And that would be the other way. So you can play with these bones and make sure that, so you can see I'm grabbing this outside bone and rolling it in, rolling it in, rolling it out. I'm pushing the arch flat. Then you can see the arch in the foot there take place. So make sure that the arches in the feet are relatively well developed. I've had huge issues with my arches. I had virtually no arches in my feet. Very weak feet, big flat feet. And wearing shoes did not agree with me. So playing with getting the correct architecture, the correct arches in your feet are so important. They are the foundation for the kinetic linking of everything that happens above them. If there's a problem there, there's going to be a problem somewhere else, especially if you're a performance athlete and you're putting high amounts of drive through your leg into the floor. If your alignment into the floor is off because your ankle's off, because your feet, arch support is off, and it's not creating this bridge tripod that you're standing on. If that's weak and you drive energy through it, it's a problem. But if it's, as you drive, it's in the right alignment for running, jumping, whatever your case may be, landing, you need to have the foot in the right position to have the right roll and momentum and energy and fluidity moving through the body. If there's a problem there, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about that as well. So it's going to be part of your recovery. Make sure your feet are looking good and even on both sides. Play with the tissue between the bones. Make sure, sometimes you've got a compensation pattern that's made, all the tissue on this foot really tight and locked up and your ankle's a little bit skew. And then on this one, it's skewing the other way, or perhaps this one's even straight, or perhaps you've got a double deviation to the out. You have double outside, double inside. Usually someone's got like a weak ankle on the one side and the arch support isn't there and the foot will kind of dip. So dipping arch, supported arch, collapsed arch on the inside, supported arch on the inside, collapsed arch, supported, collapse, supported, collapse, supported, collapse, collapse, supported, collapse. You see how that moves into the rest of the body when you grab the floor with your feet almost. And then you have your arch take form based on where your weight and upper body torsion is. Next there, but if I shift my weight there, then it flattens out so I can step over it. It doesn't need that same kind of support when I'm moving in that certain plane of motion. Okay, so this will come to standing work, which it might be a few days, it might be a few weeks. We'll see how quickly you get there, but you can definitely do some standing work patterns. There's stuff from yoga, which can be yoga and kung fu and Muay Thai, which you already know. Can just mix in some of the stances, and the stances will take you through different body architecture, which will help develop functional mobility and balance and restoration and function and synergy doing the different patterns. Okay, so that's a bit of information there. I'm gonna, because it's difficult for me to tell me, I don't know how much information to give you based on where along you are in your recovery, based on where you're going to be in a week or in 2 weeks. It's hard to tell. So I'll just do a bunch of other stuff, and you can take it or leave it when the time comes, when you're ready. Okay. So playing with these different positions here on the floor, and I do an accelerated rate. Okay, so you can play with weight distribution back, weight distribution forward. You can play with activation in the hip here, straightening the knee down there. Play with leaning forward. On this line here, you can play with leaning forward on the opposing shoulder line. Try to straighten out the spine. Okay, so yeah, we're getting stretching of multiple systems synergistically. Okay, so stretching on this line. You can play with opening that shoulder up, breathing. Play with holding the outside of the foot, inside of the foot. Opening up the side here. If you've got a tight quadratus lumborum or tight tissue anywhere in the obliques, if you've got tightness and restriction, lock up on a side, so you're probably going to have on your injured hip side, or on one of the sides, depending on how your body's compensating. But yeah, you definitely want to open that up as you start healing to make sure you can restore alignment and synergistic function. You don't want to heal and then still have all that locked up tissue that hasn't released because psychologically it's protecting an injury it doesn't need to protect. So yeah, you got to reintegrate, recalibrate. You know, not just there, but everything around there and how it relates to there, because pain there means you were doing different things here and here and here because you were putting weight in your foot different, which means your alignment here is different, which creates, you know, torsion. And it's a complex system. Small adjustments have like a knock-on ripple echo effect that just build. Especially if it's an issue that is compounded by movement, and you do a lot of movement that makes it worse. Yeah, or if it's an issue that's made worse by not moving and you never move, I suppose. So you can say the opposite is true. As you can see here, I'm just playing around, you know, I want to say get a little more ape-like, but it's not. It's get a little more human, you know. This is our body, and this is a very important part of our body, and we don't give it much attention. We've kind of lost. We put a lot of attention in a lot of random shit that's generally not important or not helpful. You know, giving your feet some love is a pretty important thing to do in life, especially if you've got problems with your feet or any of the above systems. And most people do, because they don't give them any love. They don't use them properly. They only walk, you know, with shoes and sometimes funky high heels or all sorts of weird tackies that functionally are atrocious. So they're always walking, people always walking in shoes, on flat surfaces. You need variety and angle change and ground, texture and hardness and irregularity to challenge your ankle and your arches in your feet and train your foot to core sequencing. Generally, people have very bad foot to core sequencing because you don't need it really if you're walking with shoes on flat surfaces. Your feet are so protected and padded, and your ankles don't really have to do much because it's always just this plop, 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 soft, squishy thing, flop, 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 that's warping the structure of your foot because your bones aren't sitting the way they're supposed to, and they're not moving the way they're supposed to with weight distribution as you use the foot and step through it. Your foot isn't just static. It's like a balloon with bones, and the balloon liquid's like this connective tissue mesh, and it's moving with a fluid dynamic, but also structural reinforcement with the bones, connective tissue tension through the muscles. It's this complex, alive system that's moving. Okay, so I'm going to play around. You can see how a 90-90 position starts becoming like a yoga stretch position if you rotate over and take the hip into a greater extreme, opening up the glutes. Okay. Once again, playing with the position of the spine. You don't want your spine funky. You want to try to get the body synergistic. You want to get it true. It should fly true. Its alignment should be true. It should be as correct as possible. Normally, you would want to move through these positions very slowly. Well, there is a dynamic, accelerated way to do these movements close to what I'm doing, but normally, breathing, very gradual exploration, especially when recovering from an injury, especially if the injury is severe, and you don't want to damage yourself worse than you're already damaged. You want to rehabilitate intelligence. That's what it comes down to. So I'm just trying to give you some ideas. So playing with, you can see hip extension and rotation in a very controlled position that's easy to replicate on the other side for symmetry. So not only have you got nice supported base to explore range of motion safely without load, you can integrate the hip extension, the glute muscles, the iliac joint, your sacroiliac here and the iliac joint that's got a little bit of move in it with the back of the pelvis extending through with the glute muscle pulling back. So internal rotation, glute extension. You can bring that even further up into the body. Okay. You can take it to the extreme. Try to push it through. Now opening up into a long lunge position. Again, you might need to play around with how you get there. There's a lot of different ways you could get there, and some will be more comfortable routes of first passage to help you regain motion than others. Okay, so playing around on the floor, you can see how the correct amount of mobility in your toes here is important. The correct amount of flexion in your ankle here is important. The relationship of rotation connecting into the ground is important. How that moves up into the knee and the hip and across the pelvis into the other hip. How can you change around in these positions? So you can come through onto that knee. You can roll on this foot, come up into that knee. And shift this foot. And put my weight from both legs onto my supporting leg. My weight is here. If I've got good external rotation here, connection, I can just put that up. So my internal rotation to go down, I would recommend turning in. You can drop down that way, or shift your weight across. You can, if you've got enough rotation of the knee here. So if you've got the mobility in the system, you can go down that way and then extend through and then roll over. So you can see foot at this angle and go. So I wouldn't recommend that though. It puts quite a lot of strain on the knee, but in moderation, something to be explored. Okay, so balancing up on the balls of the feet. Recommend hand stability control at first. When you can enter here, you can explore this slowly. Okay, so you'll develop, as you recover, your ability will improve very quickly. It's just where you are initially, you need to work slowly and adapt with its improved condition over time. So you do more as you can do more, not before, when you're ready. So, there is too much, there is such a thing as trying too hard. And a guy like you might try too hard, and that would be problematic. There's a sweet spot in how hard you should push yourself based on optimum recovery. So the stress you place will trigger an adaptive response. You want to place the optimum type of stress to get the optimum, as close to optimum recovery time and function as possible. And sometimes going harder makes healing longer. Yeah, more is not always more. Okay, so play around. Let's see, foot there, back, chest down to knee. Okay, seated position. This is probably going to take a while to get to, but I'm just giving you some ideas for what you can work on in the upcoming days. So can roll weight onto this point. So this line here. Control. Anchor in, support, and lift this away. See, you're going to gradually build into the different movements. Don't just throw weight on a position that your body's not ready to go to. Always safe and secure. Okay. Standing. Got like fencing lunges to reconnect the synergy in the pelvis here. So alignment, you can play with getting the right activation running through. See how that remains aligned. You can go out, come up with hip extension, swap it over. So getting nice lines. See what kind of depth you can get. I've never personally done fencing, but my understanding of the technique is this, of one specific technique anyway. I need to tilt this slightly. Okay, so we've got these lunge positions. You can play with dropping a knee, rotating over, dropping a knee, rotating over. So now you're getting hip rotation. So you've got an anchoring with a rotation in, anchoring with a rotation out, anchoring with a rotation in, dropping, changing height. So you're utilizing multiple chains, kinetic chains, using your body, but a variety of complex patterns. You can do that quite low to the ground as well, so it's more advanced. But if you're healing well, you're going to get there. Chop chop on that. Hell, you might be doing this in a time that will blow our minds. So far, just seeing you on your feet was a mind fuck for me. Boom! So quickly, that's amazing. It's fantastic. Especially for a man like you, an active person that, their soul's very tethered to the visceral connection of fighting, martial arts, being in the moment, being in the ring, being in this intensity. For someone like that to be hurt is much more tragic than a couch potato getting hurt. Couch potato wasn't doing anything glorious with their body anyway. There's no real loss. The value is different. Okay, so playing around in a deep squat position, you can see there's various ways of doing this. Ideally, you want to get your feet flat to the ground. Okay, try straighten out your back, and then I think of it more as a human resting position. Your objective is to get into a human resting position. It's not so much, I need to do this rehabilitative exercise. You should be able to sit like this. If you can't, it's an issue. Like, people are designed to do this as much as they're designed to walk. Like, this is how our species used to sit and talk. You want to plan how we're going to go hunt? There's some deer over there, or some buck. We're going to plan how we're going to go hunt those buck. We're all sitting around. Like, okay, here's the ravine. There's an edge wall there. Maybe the river's here. Here they're busy drinking. Okay, if we startle them here, they'll run down river. They'll hit the ravine. There's only a narrow pass, maybe where They can get through if we wait there with spears or fucking bows and arrows. Bam, we got them. But yeah, the whole process of just communicating and resting and talking, a lot of it would be done here on the floor. Tell me about your day. Oh, you did this and that, and you found, this new great place to harvest fruit from these trees down the ravine there, and maybe we can try planting some of them and have more of that stuff later. Looking after, I suppose it's a lot more of a primal connection to nature. We've lost a lot of that because we live in manufactured society. We live in the urban jungle. It's not so much small communities surviving in the wilderness against all elements, and you got to really harmonize with nature to know the weather's important, the seasons are important, food availability is important, the animals in the area, you need to manage them well. You hunt too much of one thing, bam, you killed off something that would be valuable for not only your entire lifetime, but future lifetimes, your children's children. If that species, that population of animal is well balanced, well looked after, you can use it as a resource, but don't destroy it as a resource because of greed in the short term. It has a reoccurring investment, just letting it be in a good balance with nature. Okay. Connection into the shoulder. Primal movements. There on this position. Do the prone and supine. Okay, so we're going into prone and supine positions. In all honesty, this is where you should probably start before even doing seated positions. So, bear that in mind once you watch the video.
When you're able to get down to the floor, this should be relatively easy. You can play around with gentle rocking of the hips. Very slow at first. Just get a feel for how they move, how it feels when your muscles and your glutes shift, and it shifts when your weight hits that balance point and shifts all the way over. So go neutral, other side, neutral, other side, neutral, other side. You play with putting your head on different sides for this as well. You play with coming up into a supported position. Like you're relaxing, but you're also checking what's going on. You're at the beach watching the kids in the waves. Relaxing, but keeping tabs. So, and in this position, obviously you can look forward. Look behind you. Look at your heels. Turn over. Look even further. Drop down. Turn over. Look the other side. So you can see doing planks and a calf, baby cobra, and mixing it up to be functional. Like why? Connect the dots. Sit up, back, roll over. Just rolling for you will be a very good thing to help you reintegrate core control, rotation, alignment. You can play with doing it in different ways. You can play with lifting up, letting your arm carry you over. You'll see the hips will follow as the weight of this and a torsional connection pulls the rest over. You bring the knee across, roll over, pull the arm through, shift. Yes. A lot of different rolling techniques.
And do with the legs. Take a leg up, we'll go this way. Take a leg up and take the leg across. You see the leg, when connected, will create a rotation through the body where the body will follow. Keep this tight down because this will be more resistance, less resistance. So opening up the hips. See how the heel on the side rotates. I move. Okay, I'm anchoring in here, connecting through the spine into the hip. Play with things like bringing the hip up.
Alright, here you can see we're starting to go into more advanced freestyle type movements that integrate motion all the way through the foot, knee, hip, spine, all the way up into the shoulders, elbows, wrists. So trying to utilize the body as a unified purpose within the body, functional mobility, taking all the joints through synergistic tension. So, factoring in functional range of motion at each joint and how that joint's range of motion correlates with the joint above and below it. Each joint has a certain degree of mobility. Some joints are designed for stability and other joints for mobility, and it normally alters as it moves through the body. So you have a mobile joint followed by a stable joint, followed by a mobile joint, followed by a stable joint, followed by a mobile joint, etc. So this is playing around with learning how to sequence mobility and stability together and cross tension the tissue, ligaments, muscles, neuromuscular timing, developing coordination, sequencing, timing, proprioceptive awareness, spatial awareness, how the body operates in different positions under gravity, under different geometric leverage. So developing this physical intelligence will definitely go a long way to helping you heal and restore function and performance. Okay.
Playing around the posture once again. Feel this hamstring tight. So you've got these positions. There, 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 there. Cross and shift onto it here. Shift back, play around, take this up, and now shift your weight onto it. Try to do a low transition. Play with turning the foot down, connecting it, turning it in, connecting it, turning it in, connecting it. Okay, so I think with a bit of luck this video will give you a new insight into what the hips are capable of and how the joints calibrate and
coordinate, recalibrate, how they learn sequencing and timing, how they work out their transactional relationship in terms of tension across the unity of the body. You know, all that stuff, a lot of it's done here on the floor through doing primal movement we would do out in nature. Anyway, wishing you all the best with the recovery. I hope the video was interesting and informative, and hopefully there weren't too many dull parts. Anyway, go well. I'm going to throw this on the PC, send you a link, and hopefully it's of value to you. Go well, bro. Wishing you a full and speedy recovery. Much love.